A headline for nearly every day of January 2021 from InfoWars. Mandatory COVID-19 vaccines? Everything is on the table, says Dr. Fauci. Lockdown proponent Bill Gates quietly funding plan to dim the sun's rays. CDC death numbers expose COVID hoax. Trump supporters erect giant cross in front of Michigan Capitol as Congress debates Biden certification. God bless America. Footage shows Ashley Babbitt marching to Capitol ahead of fatal shooting. Hillary Clinton mocks President Trump after permanent ban by Twitter. Emergency message to Trump. Deep state still planning 25th Amendment coup. Trump haters call on Hollywood to digitally remove president's cameo appearance from Home Alone 2. Selling the illusion of insurrection. Giuliani believes Trump, himself, and Don Jr. indicted in D.C. Caught on video. National Guard gearing up with rifles and riot shields at the Capitol. New normal. Chinese citizens have to scan a tracking app to re-enter their own homes. Bill Gates buying up huge amount of farmland while Great Reset tells Americans' future is no private property. Japan considers heavy fines and jail for violators of coronavirus restrictions. Peer-reviewed study did not find evidence lockdowns were effective in stopping COVID spread. Proposed Oregon bill calls for normalization of martial law. Compilation, leftists call for deprogramming and re-education of brainwashed Trump supporters. Bill Clinton snoozes through Biden's inauguration speech. Biden to keep Wray as FBI director. The war on terror has gone domestic and patriots are the new targets. Elon Musk now wants to drill for natural gas in Texas. Catastrophically wrong. German court declares lockdown unconstitutional in politically explosive decision. Biden voters triggered after gun store announces it won't sell them firearms and ammo. Over 12,000 criminal illegals will be freed monthly, former Trump official warns. It begins. Biden forms commission on Supreme Court reform. Globalists crack down on free market following Occupy Wall Street 2.0. Outraged South Africans storm police station and lock useless, unreliable cops inside. GameStop investor clash will be won by Wall Street sharks because the game is rigged, says analysts. Taliban warns of consequences amid reports that Biden has scrapped Trump pledge on Afghan pullout. A headline from every day of February 2021. Government's money monopoly and the Great Reset. WokiLeaks. Celeb insider dishes the dirt. What happened to kids in cages? CNN refers to immigrant detention center as overflow facility. From goat to scapegoat, Redditor who made millions during GameStop chaos already being set up to take the fall. The no-mask rebellion has begun. TSA to slap mask mandate violators with $1,500 fines. Hundreds march through Copenhagen to protest COVID-19 lockdown and plans for vaccination passports. Endgame now. Globalist purge imminent. WHO concludes that coronavirus came from animal, not Wuhan lab. Trump will never be allowed back on Twitter, CFO confirms. Utah embraces Constitution and ditches conceal carry permits. Experts suggest COVID restrictions could last forever. Biden DOJ files appeal to extradite Julian Assange, ignoring rights groups. Traitor spray-painted outside of home of Trump's impeachment attorney says he's received nearly 100 death threats. University's social justice course has students partner with open borders groups. Lincoln Project fundraising page down as $90 million grift unravels. Radio legend Rush Limbaugh dead at 70. NYC waitress fired after refusing COVID vaccine, fearing it could cause infertility. Smoking gun. Joe Biden's Department of Energy blocked Texas from increasing power ahead of killer storm. New York Times says critical thinking isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. Merkel says no end in sight until world is vaccinated. Special report. Americans are enemy number one. Greek shepherd desperate as migrants steal and butcher his animals. How societies are imprisoned. The whole world will one day be like Hollywood? Amnesty strips Russian dissident of prisoner of conscience status after he was accused of being racist 15 years ago. Short sellers lose another $2 billion on GameStop as independent traders strike again. Globalist weather wars to crush humanity. What is the truth about COVID deaths? A headline for every day of March 2021. Textbook hypocrisy. Teachers union prez who led school shutdowns caught dropping daughter off at private school. Amazon redesigns logo to look less like Hitler after complaints. Shock poll. 20% don't know who's running the country. CNN doctors say Americans should mask up and social distance every winter to beat flu. Awkward. Giggling Nancy Pelosi says open Biden is Dems' new magic word. Pentagon assessing systems after tens of thousands of servers compromised and global Microsoft hacked, blamed on Chinese hackers. Biden showers money on Americans. WAPO mocked for dear leader vibes in COVID stimulus story. Football official suspended and ordered to undergo re-education after referring to a black guy as a black guy. Pro-mask rally in Austin, Texas spirals out of control. Founder of Super Straight Movement receives death threats and harassment after media hit pieces. Hollywood lawyer claims Greta Thunberg is writing letters to Ted Kaczynski. UK debating a 6 p.m. curfew for men. Scientists propose lunar ark to store 6.7 million sperm samples as global insurance policy. Biden urges police reform as BLM's Breonna Taylor protests turn violent across the nation. Germany, France, Italy, and Indonesia halt AstraZeneca COVID vaccine after reports of blood clots. The COVID vaccine is killing America's warriors. Agenda 2035, the post-human world and controlled planetary collapse. Norwegian doctor claims to find link between AstraZeneca vaccine and rare blood clots. Bill Gates does Reddit AMA and dodges questions about meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. VP Kamala Harris says racism is real in America and it has always been. Teen Vogue's black editor-in-chief forced to resign after old tweets criticizing Asians resurface. Colorado shooter had ISIS sympathies, says report. Origin of COVID-19 outbreak occurred between two of China's biological warfare facilities in Wuhan. Veteran investor says governments are planning to totally outlaw Bitcoin. Veteran call-in special, senators expose border and is wide open in viral video. Father of slain Boulder cop says son would be deeply offended if death was exploited for gun control. Absolutely an open border situation. Senator Lankford gives first-hand account of border crisis. 60 Minutes reports COVID may have leaked from Wuhan lab, slams curated WHO report. Board of Trustees member has bizarre anger episode while demanding CDC mask mandate be maintained. Trump blasts Biden $2 trillion tax hike. Classic globalist betrayal of Americans. Total economic surrender to China. A headline for every day of April 2021. Students at Florida high school warned they will be re-educated if caught not wearing a mask. CNN says limit freedoms of Americans without COVID-19 vaccination. Russia warns NATO against sending any troops to Ukraine as frightening escalation looms. Barack Obama cheers MLB for moving the All-Star game. Family thrown off Spirit Airlines because 2-year-old was eating without a mask. Biden border wall? Admin considering filling gaps in the southern barrier. CDC says less than 1 in 10,000 chance of catching COVID from contaminated surface. NFL pro turned mass shooter shot 6, killed 5 before turning gun on himself in South Carolina. Syrian brothers spared prison for brutally beating Swedish train conductor. Biden's border czar abruptly quits despite no crisis. It's over. David Hogg backs out of anti-Trump pillow company. Global taxes leads to global stagnation, says Ron Paul. Cyber Polygon 2021. Globalists run simulation of a coming cyber pandemic to prepare for economic reset. Biden's UN ambassador says white supremacy weaved into America's founding documents and principles. Biden backs down after Putin warns him to stay away from Ukraine for his own good. Globalists need another crisis in America as their reset agenda fails. Fauci says very frustrating to get questioned about freedoms without mentioning COVID deaths. California. Would-be robber squeals like a pig after being body slammed and pinned to pavement by intended victim. Facebook removes post by Breonna Taylor's mother criticizing Black Lives Matter. Citizens call for total destruction of Minneapolis if Chauvin acquitted. Tucker Carlson on Chauvin trial. The left doesn't have a right to intimidate a jury. Chicago Tribune says professors investigating COVID vaccine linked to abnormal periods. Parents slam school photo op that masked kids without parental permission. Pathetic appeal to hysterical media and frightened voters. Aussie TV anchor unloads on loopy left era of Joe Biden. Never-before-seen photos show Bill Clinton greeting sex offender Jeffrey Epstein in White House. Cringe propaganda. Liberals sing pro-Dr. Fauci, pro-vaccine jingles. Dems control Supreme Court with simple threat of packing. Number 3 jiu-jitsu fighter in the world, Craig Jones, unable to fight after COVID vaccine causes fluid buildup around his stomach. Texas. Bill preventing businesses from firing those without COVID vax stalled by Republican legislator. Census shows number of kids raised by single moms doubles. A headline for every day of May 2021. Fascism. USA Today says browsing books can lead to extremist rabbit hole. Biden covertly meets with Mossad director in White House to discuss Iran. South African armored vehicle carrying cash survives massive assault, gunshots, and ramming. Study finds Dems will get vaccinated for $100. Republicans can be bribed with freedom incentive. Chinese state media claims lockdowns have had positive effect on mental health. Biden issues National Day of Prayer proclamation, omits word God. Melinda Gates was furious about Bill's relationship with Epstein. Merrick Garland's DOJ indicts Derek Chauvin on federal charges, may face death penalty. Chinese military discussed weaponizing COVID in 2015 to cause enemy's medical system to collapse. Biden official says cyber attacks against U.S. infrastructure here to stay. Elderly man held at gunpoint and beaten with crowbar inside office. COVID-19 vaccines may lead to prion-linked brain degeneration similar to mad cow disease. The uglification of the world. World's leading scientists say WHO has failed to make balanced consideration on possibility COVID leaked from Chinese lab. Go back to England. Prince Harry elicits backlash after criticizing bonkers First Amendment. Joe Psaki says illegal aliens are part of what the American dream represents. Mind control. Scientists engineer magnetoprotein capable of remotely controlling brain and behavior. Kamala Harris keeps enemies list of journalists. They don't want Trump to run again. Trump bashes Dem New York AG's criminal investigation into org. Nancy Pelosi whines about face masks. How Bill Gates' carefully curated tech savior image unraveled. TikTok censors videos that made fun of Dr. Fauci. Caught red-handed. CDC changes test thresholds to virtually eliminate new COVID cases among vaxxed. AOC in therapy after Capitol riot. Says lawmakers effectively served in war. News reporter talks about police reform as gunshots ring out at George Floyd Square. Senate chamber cheers after passing Rand Paul's amendment banning Chinese gain-of-function research. Lockheed Martin's white guilt brainwashing camp. 6 GOP senators joined Democrats in vote for 9/11-style January 6 commission. COVID-19 has no credible natural ancestor and was created by Chinese scientists. New film Deep Rig proves the 2020 election was stolen. Kamala ruins Memorial Day. A headline for every day of June 2021. Not again. World's biggest meat supplier, JBS, hit by cyber attack. Plants shut down in Canada and Australia. Chinese state media urges country to prepare for nuclear showdown with USA. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett team up to build advanced nuclear plant in Wyoming. The truth about cancer and the COVID vaccine. G7 finance ministers reach historic agreement on Biden's push for global minimum corporate tax of 15%. Cyber Polygon. Will the next globalist war game lead to another convenient catastrophe? Supreme Court rejects Democrat illegal immigration loophole push in unanimous ruling. Experts call for Nuremberg 2.0 following COVID crimes against humanity. England's lockdown could continue despite deaths being below 5-year average. Photo of Jill Biden prepping for the G7 sparks questions over who's in charge. Curb Your Enthusiasm actor outraged at baseballers rejecting COVID vaccine. Kamala Harris tells Spanish media U.S. is a safe haven for migrants after staging do not come stunt for Americans. China scoffs at G7's international system. Days when world was controlled by a small group are over. First autopsy of COVID-vaccinated patient found spike proteins in every organ of body. Fox 36 reporter who announced she went to Project Veritas live on air suspended. Posts audio of the call. Man ruins Extinction Rebellion protest by throwing activist into water. More cringe propaganda. LGBTQ chorus performs Vaccinate song. London Uni allows non-whites exam extensions if they say they've experienced racial trauma. Pop star Macy Gray demands woke makeover for divisive American flag, complete with colored stars for each race. Evanston, Illinois hosting Juneteenth parade and Gay Pride parade, canceling July 4th parade and fireworks. White House doctor calls for Biden to take cognition test after sloppy G7 and Putin summit. Joe Rogan warns what's happening in Mexico could easily happen here due to defunding of police. Major riot in Sweden no-go zone. Giuliani suspended from practicing law in New York. 3 dead and 3 injured after attack by knifemen in Wurzburg, Germany. Hungary told to repeal law banning LGBT promotion to children or else leave EU. Facebook is accused of helping to brainwash children as young as 5 with math lessons that teaches pupils to use correct pronouns for non-binary people. We are all Britney Spears now. How her conservatorship parallels COVID medical tyranny. Insurrection. AOC and 500-plus climate activists blockade every entrance to White House. Legal immigrants versus millennials on the American flag. A headline for every day of July 2021. Bizarre video shows woman removing mask in between bites of food. Russia now requires foreign social media companies to open in-country offices. Soros-funded Austin DA indicts Army sergeant who shot AK-47-toting BLM protester in self-defense. BBC pressured to delete article on positive aspects of climate change. Fauci-funded EcoHealth refuses to give Wuhan documents to Congress. Just 10,000 tune in to Biden 4th of July livestream. Trump files lawsuit against Facebook and Twitter for violation of the First Amendment. Piers Morgan says media knows identity of police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt. Just 25 under 18s died from COVID in England. Hundreds died from suicide and trauma. Bill Gates gives speech demanding action on climate change after moguls flew in on private jets. Biden contact tracers planning forceful entry into American homes under strike force plan. Pennsylvania state senator responds to Governor Wolf and Dem leaders attempting to block forensic audit. Radio host says racists should have bank accounts and citizenship stripped. Proof the COVID vax is designed to kill. Horrible. BLM issues statements supporting Marxist Cuban tyranny. People will go to prison. Devin Nunes still believes justice will be served in Durham report. Accusations not supported by facts. Facebook dismisses Biden's charge of killing people with COVID-19 misinfo in fiery rebuke. 3 Texas Democrats who fled to Washington, D.C. test positive for coronavirus. The voting scam disaster. Bezos flies into space on a giant dildo. Rand Paul vows to ask DOJ for criminal referral on Fauci after blistering exchange. List of the UK venues that could mandate vaccine passports already expanding. Billionaires segregate themselves on luxury private islands as ordinary people told they can't travel. NFL players rally behind star wide receiver who doesn't want to take COVID vaccine. America is only one step away from a South African-style social implosion. Labor counselor ridiculed for bragging about wearing a mask on an empty train. Special announcement. COVID-19 murdering logic contest extended till Wednesday. NYC Mayor de Blasio announces COVID vaccine mandates. Voluntary phase is over. Thousands of UK-bound migrants amassing in coastal France. Psychic Jim Bro recognized for predicting lockdown agenda. Countdown to the next lockdown. Biden says in all probability U.S. will see more restrictions. A headline for every day of August 2021. Why are globalists and governments so desperate for 100% vaccination rates? Owen Schroyer drops massive Trump won flag at MLB Stadium. NYC orders restaurants and gyms to demand proof of vaccination from all customers. Trans YouTuber Chris Chan to be jailed with female inmates despite allegedly raping 79-year-old mother. Baylor professor says it should be a hate crime to criticize Fauci and other scientists. Privacy company Apple plans to monitor all U.S. phones for evidence of child porn. Yelp moves to normalize vaccine passports. Liberal elites are laughing at us. Obama's scaled-back 60th birthday party draws celeb guests and ire from conservatives. Bombshell. HHS documents admit CDC has never isolated COVID-19 virus. PCR tests nothing but instrument noise. Tucker Carlson says U.S. is great, but Hungary has more freedom. Sage advisor says lockdowns can no longer be justified. Danish WHO chief says COVID patient 0 was likely Wuhan lab worker. Man forcibly imprisoned in mental asylum for different opinion on COVID. At least 74 people on Martha's Vineyard tested positive for COVID-19 since Obama's party. U.S. choppers evacuate Kabul embassy as Blinken defiantly rejects Vietnam pullout comparisons. Impeachable. Military insider claims Biden lied about intel warning of Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Biden authorizes $500 million for Afghan refugees, while Macron worries about up to 3 million flooding Europe. Americans speak out before Texas school district defies governor's executive order banning mask mandates. British man in Singapore given 6 weeks in prison for not wearing face mask and psychiatric assessment. 64-year-old heart patient removed from transplant list for refusing COVID vaccine. World Economic Forum pushes new form of surveillance, turning your heartbeat into a digital ID. Donald Trump says everything woke turns to shit. Military in blue states announce vaccine mandates minutes after FDA approves injection. Fauci dismisses freedom and call for vaccine mandates. The time has come. Enough is enough. Trust the science? CDC counts people dying within 14 days of jab as unvaccinated. Biden again laughs and wisecracks at reporters asking about stranded Americans in Afghanistan. Biden admits kill list of Americans may have been given to Taliban. 2 people die in Japan after receiving Moderna COVID-19 shots from batch that was withdrawn due to foreign material in some vials. Will the FDA destroy our military? Report says Taliban offered Biden control of Kabul, but he declined. White people are evil and racist, says Somali migrant accused of violently assaulting numerous Swedish women. A headline for every day of September 2021. Germany Interior Minister warns of new wave of migrants incentivized to reach Europe. La Resistance. French create their own makeshift restaurant again to protest vax passports. Hungary fans loudly boo England players taking a knee. Wow. CDC gives incoming refugees Nobel Prize-winning ivermectin. Hospital debunks Rolling Stone ivermectin poisoning hoax story. The eugenicists will lose. Rutgers uni student banned from taking online virtual classes because he's unvaccinated. Jimmy Kimmel returns to amplify debunked ivermectin story and attacks Alex Jones. Aussie public health chief says COVID contact tracing is part of New World Order. Rand Paul says vaccine mandates that ignore natural immunity should not be adhered to. Fauci struggles to explain why people with natural immunity should take vax. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. Victory. UK health minister says government will not impose COVID vaccine passports or lockdowns over Christmas unlikely. Hot Mike catches Israeli health minister admitting vaccine passports are about coercion. Carlson warns, if the powers that be can force you to get a shot, what can't they make you take? Nancy Pelosi confirms General Milley treason. Virginia Tech instructor apologizes in syllabus for being white. Drone captures second huge Haitian caravan smashing across Texas border. Biden admin to expel thousands of migrants at border on flights back to Haiti. Elderly Australian woman knocked down and pepper sprayed by police during Melbourne protest against lockdowns. Former FDA commissioner says CDC's 6-foot social distancing recommendation arbitrary. AOC and Omar spread fake hate news claims that Border Patrol is whipping migrants. Bill Gates in awkward interview about Jeffrey Epstein. Gay Swedish priest vows to stop performing marriage ceremonies for straight couples. School board attempts to silence parent reading out pedo-porn books from its own library. Joe Biden blames his failures on what I inherited from Donald Trump. Fauci says Americans must get vaccinated to a very high degree to avoid dark winter. 4,600 doctors and scientists signed declaration accusing COVID policymakers of crimes against humanity. Woman boiling urine blamed for wildfire media claimed was due to climate change. Dr. Joseph Mercola says how the spike protein hurts the heart. The vaccines are 1,000% more deadly than COVID-19. A headline for every day of October 2021. Biden's globalist agenda is failing. Prepare for false flags. Mayor says Dems used COVID to push spending they've always wanted. It's like never let a crisis go to waste. National School Board Association demands Biden give them FBI protection from terrorist parents. New Zealand abandons controversial zero COVID policy. Devastating to agriculture. Farm Bureau sounds off on Biden's Build Back Better spending bill. Shocking. Vaccine passport passes in Wales after dodgy vote. Rand Paul blasts lying Fauci. He ignores natural immunity because it foils his mass vaccination plan. TripAdvisor shuts down reviews for migrant camp hotel. Proceed with caution at your own risk. Merck's COVID superdrug poses serious health risks, scientists warn. So deeply, deeply wrong. Lithuanian without vaccine pass describes life under medical tyranny. Leftist tweet about InfoWars sticker backfires spectacularly. Dehumanized. COVID patient in Texas hospital had plastic bag placed over her head. Pilots speak out against vaccine mandate dictatorship. Muslim convert responsible for bow and arrow killings described as Danish national by media. Bitter liberals triggered by positive sign reading, "Your vaccination status won't change how much I love you." 4 in 10 TSA employees remain unvaccinated as deadline looms. State trooper of 22 years slams vaccine mandate as he signs off for the final time after being fired. Diversity darling finds out her black ancestor owned slaves. Americans oppose IRS snooping on their bank account. The Great Neo-Feudalism Reset. NIH admits funding gain-of-function COVID experiments, gives EcoHealth 5 days to report data. I don't know what to do with my hands. Memes mock Biden's town hall glitches. Snowden tells tribunal, if you love truth, you're as much of a criminal as Assange and risk sharing his fate. New patent proposes digital surveillance to vaccinate people based on social credit style scores. Doctor responds to hospital policy putting plastic bags on people's heads to stop COVID. Doctors confirm Pfizer COVID jabs clot blood and contain junk material unsafe for humans. Congressional obsession with the number of the beast. Marketing executive fired for being white wins $10 million discrimination suit. Top Florida official suggests In-N-Out move to Sunshine State after vaccine mandate closures. Mom says 6-year-old asked if she was born evil because she is white. Expert on UN COP26 says climate panic is bad for people and the planet. A headline for every day of November 2021. Sleepy Joe. Biden falls asleep during UN climate conference. Knife-wielding attacker shot by Paris railway security after shouting France is ruled by the Islamic State. My government lied to me. Dad details teen son's death from myocarditis following vaccine. Administration accused of using masks as punishment after details of vaccine mandate revealed. Rand Paul accuses Fauci of using smarmy word salad to cover up his lying. Time to name names. Republicans kick off intra-party inquisition over infrastructure bill vote. Federal appeals court blocks Biden's big company vax mandate. Biden considering shutting down another pipeline despite soaring energy prices. We did it. Merkel suggests 2015 influx of migrants into Germany was a success. Pfizer's attempt at winning the meme war backfires disastrously. What tears? LeBron James mocks Kyle Rittenhouse for crying during trial testimony. Pfizer adds dangerous drug to children's COVID vaccines. Mom at center of CRT revelations. Parents are not domestic terrorists. Ghislaine Maxwell might have been murdered if granted bail over info on Epstein, report claims. This is all noise. Steve Bannon urges supporters to stay on point before turning himself in. Austrian police patrol shops, highways, hunting for the unvaccinated. The secret arms race in space revealed. Hypocrite Pelosi caught violating mask mandate again. Kamala Harris to be president for an hour. Rittenhouse protests escalate into a riot. Thousands protest in Europe against COVID passes. Biden's numbers tank as U.S. rattles sabers at Russia. A pandemic of the unvaccinated? De Blasio pushes for no jab, no subway travel in New York City. We know vaccine mandates work. Another professional footballer player suddenly collapses in the middle of a game. Omicron variant first detected in 4 people who were fully vaccinated. COVID variant as deadly as Ebola may emerge, top physician warns. Who skips G in Greek alphabet for naming coronavirus variants to avoid stigma? The U.S. Miser Index shows how weak this recovery is. Unvaccinated Austrians face prison time and huge fines for non-compliance. A headline for every day of December 2021. Senior cardiologist warns study linking COVID vaccines to massive increase in heart attacks is being totally ignored. Germany has fallen. Seth Rogen claims white supremacy is to blame for his abysmal Christmas show failure. Twitter's new censorship policy backfires. Never seen anything like it. Los Angeles residents stunned as violent crimes creep into wealthier communities. Goats wear COVID face masks in bizarre footage. Cringe booster song, possibly the worst yet. Rand Paul blasts Fauci. He routinely ignores science, causes hysteria, and creates fear. Stunning. Facebook court filing admits fact checks are just a matter of protected opinion. Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules schools can't force school children to remain masked, reversing months-long rule. Assange suffered stroke in UK prison, says fiancé. Biden blames his low approval rating on QAnon. Senior cardinal warns elites ushering in total control surveillance state through COVID. New German chancellor says there will be no red lines as regards COVID restrictions. Monty Python legend canceled by Old Vic Theater for recommending Chappelle special. School district warns parents of sudden cardiac arrest in grades K through 12. Federal appeals court reinstates Biden's vaccine mandate for firms with 100 employees or more. Court in German region of Lower Saxony rules against vaccine passports. Leaked Hillary Clinton emails reveal concern about biological weapons created at Wuhan lab. Airline CEO calls for unvaccinated idiots to be ostracized from society. Woke Matrix scriptwriters complain about the phrase red-pilled being kidnapped by right-wingers. CNN medical analyst demands Biden further restrict the activities of the unvaccinated. Biden says, "Let's go, Brandon, I agree," when pranked by parent during Christmas call. CNN correspondent comment on Biden appearing confused after yet another slip-up. Algerian player dies after collapsing on pitch as spate of tragedies hit football. Is this an SNL skit? Lori Lightfoot and her wife are ridiculed for wishing Chicago a joyous Kwanzaa. FNC's Dr. McCary says, "We've never seen this level of martial law and paternalism to prevent mild infection." Rand Paul says thousands dying every month because of Fauci's obsession with pushing vaccines. CNN's Tapper to Fauci, run ads featuring Trump's pro-vaccination stance. MSNBC's Hassan says 21 million Americans are open to using force to restore the presidency to Donald Trump.